Justin Gatlin is the latest in a long line of sprint sensations to emerge from the USA.
Gatlin got a good start. Look at this man coming through now. Gatlin. What a fantastic performance from Gatlin. It's all about Gatlin.
Ultimate goal is to be one of the best sprinters in history.
And what a fantastic performance from Gatlin. And look at the time.
It's the American leading the Jamaican at the moment.
He knows he is the world champion.
Justin Gatlin is the world champion here in London.
What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Ready, Set, Go. We in the building. You know what time it is. If you see us in person and we sit next to each other, then you know we have some special guests. But before we get to that guest, you know who I got to introduce. The man himself, the bearded wonder, Rodney Green in the building. What's up, my man? Ace Boom Coon, what's good?
Man, appreciate you, man. We thank you, everybody, for being with us. I don't know how this man made this bearded wonder stick. Like, people
we're going to make shirts. We're going to do it all, man.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. But for our guest today, who we have, man, we have the wonderful Talitha Diggs, man. She's in the building. Let's clap it up. Or Gator clap it up.
Speaking of Gator clapping, you just graduated.
Yes.
And I mean, you just didn't graduate.
Oh,
Summa cum laude. 3.8 GPA.
Yeah.
You have a major, in internationals?
Yep, international
Asia?
studies.
International studies, Asia, and political science.
Yeah, and political science. Okay, you got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of course.
Listen, man, that is amazing in itself. I'm not even going. We're going to go a little bit through her track resume, but that resume right there of education is top notch. So,
thank you.
I mean, I don't know if you have a man, but whoever he is, he got to be like in the Senate or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
He gonna be the next Barack Obama.
Boy, he got to be the congressman or something to step the up, boy. He can't come like, yeah, baby, I got, a little chicken wing.
Yeah, only steak dinners over here.
Yeah, Ruth Chris, you heard?
Yeah. Black excellence. That's what we talking about.
V's or something like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we're definitely glad that you came with us, man, and you're here, and we're gonna do a wonderful episode. We're gonna find out where you're training. You changed coaches for right now. Not that anything bad happened. You just moved on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we want to hear a lot about what you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna start a little bit about your rich history in track and field, man.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody knows, man, when I say rich history of athletics, if anybody remembers in the 80s and 90s, the Clark sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother is Joretta Clark Diggs. 5-time Olympian? Four-time Olympian? Four-time Olympian. Oh, man.
7 indoor titles.
Yeah.
5 outdoor titles.
Dang, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows more than me. I'm going to just say yes. I don't know.
No. We saw a little bit. I've watched, the Clark sisters were very, very popular. My favorite was Hazel. You know what I mean? That was my favorite. Shout out to Hazel, that's your auntie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
hey, auntie. But yeah, man, like coming from that type of rich history of middle distance running, did you feel any pressure when you were coming into athletics of track and field?
Yeah. Definitely felt like pressure to run track and field, but I did literally every single sport but that. Like, I did everything you could imagine. I was a figure skater. I was an equestrian. I was soccer. Like, I was doing everything but track and field. And I think I just wanted to find my own way into the sport. And so then I was like, okay, once I hit 9th grade, I'll run, I'll see. And so in 8th grade, I ran this meet. It was like an AAU meet. And I got 5th at nationals. And so I was like, okay, I'm pretty fast. I didn't even train. So let me just train and try. And so then freshman year, I was like, okay, we're really going to do track. But obviously there's that pressure. I mean, my mom's a 4-time Olympian. My aunt's a 5-time Olympian. My other aunt's a 3-time Olympian. My uncle is, has been the Olympic coach and is the head coach at Stanford right now. You don't hear track and field without the Clark family. And so coming from that, I was it's going to be obviously a lot to live up to. But as I got into it, I was no, I'm writing my own path. I'm doing my own thing. So it's not really I'm living up to it. It's I'm appreciating and respecting what they have and what they have done, but I'm my own person. So, so then I ran track my freshman year and I did pretty good. And so I was like, okay, I like this. I want to do this. So yeah.
I mean, I think you're living up to it.
Thank you.
I mean, 2022, she wins the indoor title NCAA. She wins the outdoor title NCAA. And then she goes and wins U.S. Nationals all within the same year.
She wins the indoor, but she's the American record holder. You're still the American record holder. Indoor. So she just didn't win. She erased somebody's name. So we definitely want to give her our accolades. But you being your own person you're still different from they are because they all were middle distance. You're not. Yeah. So you actually carved out your own lane and you made a name for yourself because you ain't too shabby of a you run the 400, but you're not too shabby of a sprinter. Yeah. Your PB in the 100 is 11:01, which is crazy because you're a 400-meter runner. Not a lot of 400-meter runners can actually drop down to the 100 and do what you did because you wasn't training for it at that time. And I watched that one live because I was there when you did it at Florida Relays. Yeah. So it was definitely amazing to watch.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really like we were chatting up a little bit earlier before everything started, and I was talking about like some of my favorite events, and I really do like the 100. Like, it's obviously super technical, watching you growing up, like watching like just like the OGs, people who just, really like do well at executing the race plan has always been something like I've like looked up to, like, wow, like this is like a really like hard thing to do. And it seems like it's short, but it's super duper technical. But yeah, like I really want to be and am elite in like every single event. And I want to like continue that, just like that, like Allison level of like, okay, every single event, like she can compete at a high level. So
the door is cracked, which you have run 11:01. Mm-hmm. So you're willing to go into that room and venture in there and see exactly what it is to be a 100-meter runner.
Well hold on now. I didn't say, hang on a minute, let's back it up. But I definitely want to, still run some hundreds and things. I don't know if I'd go in and say, I'm going to be a 100-meter runner. Like, I don't know if I'm, I think that's a lot of like, that's going to take some time. Like, that's changing like the 400. That's changing the whole training. Like, that's a lot of that goes into it. But I definitely want to be able to drop down and be like, okay, cool. I dropped this time and it's going to help me with my other events and being elite at all of it.
There's definitely a thing that a lot of folk have done now. Sharika, Fred, Taboho, a lot of these people are well-rounded sprinters. And when we say well-rounded, we mean 100, 200, 400. They can do them all. So Michael Norman, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These people can really like roll. So you'll be in great company if you could do that. What we want to go back to, man, is that 2022 year. Man, should be like a staple year on all your social media because like you couldn't lose, like literally you could not lose moving from indoor, outdoor. I think you're the second female to win the sweep, like to do that and to get a gold medal at World Champs. I mean, take us through a little bit of that season of what that was like. Yeah. What your preparation was in that fall. Did you and Coach Holloway really get into what you wanted to accomplish at the end, or just handled it as it came? Yeah.
So that was my sophomore year, so I was 19. But my freshman year, I got second at the NCAA meet to Athing Mo, who ran the 400 meters randomly. I'm like, girl, why did you run the 400? Like, just run the 800. Like, why did you do that?
Go back up there.
Yeah. So I got second. So I was like, whoa, like I ran 50 point. Like, I missed that Olympic team that year. And so I was like, okay, like I had no doubt in my mind. I was like, I could be NCAA champion and I can run 49 seconds. So like Coach Holloway and he is brilliant in like just creating a plan. It's like, all right, look, this is what we're going to do. Talitha, what are some of your goals like long term? I was like, I want to make the team. Like, I obviously want to win NCAAs and I want to compete at a high level, but I want to make the team. Like, that's what I want to do. And so we set up some of those goals and he, trained me along the way. And like, it seemed like I dominated that whole year, but I really didn't really win. I don't think I won a indoor race until NCAAs. And like the training cycles were just like different. And like he was peaking me kind of for the big meets, but it was just like very not what I was intending. I was like, oh, I'm just going to come dominate and still make the world team. It was like, no, like there's like ups and downs between this training cycle that you're going to have to like learn and work through. So yeah, indoors, coming up to the meet, but I had supreme confidence. Like I posted it too on social media. Like in my journal entry, I wrote like, you are going to be NCAA champion. Like you're going to be indoor and outdoor champion. Like you're going to win it. Yeah. And I just had supreme confidence that I was going to do that just because, I mean, I knew that's what like God created me to be. And I knew that like, you know, between all my different training and I was just confident in myself. I was like, I'm going to win no matter what. Like I can lose. I lost the prelims of the NCAA indoors and I knew I was still going to win the next day. And I think that that's kind of like one of the things that stands out to me from that year. Like I just had so much confidence in every single thing that I was doing. And then leading into outdoors, I ran, you know, some 200s, some 100s, and nothing too crazy. Like I didn't do awesome at SECs, but again, I was like, I'm going to run 49. I'm going to make the team and I'm going to win NCAA outdoors. And then outdoors, we just had like a fire team. Like it was like me, Anna Hall, Jasmine Moore, like Parker Valby, like just a stacked team. Like we were gonna win. Like there was no doubt in my mind that we were gonna win the team title. And we were talking, and it's funny too, because now like when we talk about it, like, because I'm training around like pros and a lot of them didn't go to college. And so I'm talking to them like, they don't understand. Like I would have run the 1, 2, 4, 8, 15 so that we could win the team title. So I knew like going into that, I was like, I am going to do everything possible to win and to just support the team. And that was a big motivation for me winning. I was like, if I win this race, like we're probably going to win the team title. And so then, yeah, coming outdoors, had a great, you know, practice sessions and my team was supporting, like we're all ready to go. And then I went outdoors and I don't even really remember much of the race, but I do remember coming across the line and like putting my arms out like, yeah, like I did it. And then, yeah, I just carried that momentum into USA's. Like USA's was like the next week, like 2 weeks later. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm going to win that too. And then.
So you just that confident across the board. You was like,
I was like, it's just going to.
Slayed everybody in the NCAAs. She's like, I'm about to go against these big dogs. And he was like, we got this.
Yeah, I felt like I was like, you know, obviously, I think another thing, like, of course, like there is like the general, like, you know, the doubt, like the fear that sets in because it's a big moment. Like I appreciate and respect the moment. But I still was like, I really believe like this is going to happen. Like if I speak it into existence, I'm big on that. Like if I speak it into existence, like it's going to happen. And then, yeah, like outdoors, I had good momentum because also the NCAAs is like no slouch. Like the people who are running 50 points. They're running 49. So like if you win NCAAs, you have a pretty good shot to make the team. And then I ran USA's. I was navigating through the rounds. Like I felt really confident, really good flow. And then come the finals, I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's just finish it off. And Coach Holloway had me all primed and ready. And I went out and I won USA's, made it to Worlds.
What are some of the things that you guys did to prep for that? Like, because a lot of people don't know, like sometimes a lot of colleges, they have therapists that's there for the athletes. Did you need any of that? I know athletes abuse their training room. The trainer's like, "Were you back in here again?"
Yes.
You know, tell a lot of the athletes, you know, who possibly may be going to college or looking up to somebody like you, what that type of preparation took, because people only see the successful part. They don't see the work behind the scenes of the team that works with you getting to that point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hit the nail. Treatment was huge. Had some awesome trainers at University of Florida between Bria and Yolanda who kept me going. And then also like, you know, there's chiropractors, there's acupuncturists, there's so many resources at University of Florida and any big school, but like especially UF, like it's UF. So every single time I was like, I'm using everything that I can. Like I'm taking advantage of all my resources. Like I'm going to be living in that treatment room. Like it's like something's going on, like I'm just going to go and like just try to get strong on every level, work with my strength coach too. Like I was just using all the little things and listening to the people around me because like, you know, I feel like especially coming in, like, it's like, oh, okay, like I know I've had some success at the high school level, but like at the end of the day, like I came to the University of Florida to buy into the program because I believed in them that they could help me. And like, I may know some things, but I don't know everything. And I don't know a lot about this. Like I want to learn, like being coachable is super important. That's to anyone watching who's like wanting to go to college or like being coachable is the number one thing that has helped me be successful. You know, listen to your coach. Like if your coach tells you to do something, do it. Like, and if you don't want to do it, then he shouldn't be the person that you're looking to coach you, because like you should want to believe in your coach. Like Holloway has had a long list of people who've been successful. And also he's proven that to me, like he was able to coach me. So I was like, okay, I want to listen to this guy. And so like, yeah, like even leading up preparation wise, he was like, okay, look, we're going to do some things that may look a little different because you have USAs in the next week. So we're going to do a couple reps this way. And there was just some things that he changed. And if you're not coachable, then you're gonna be like, wait, coach, why are we doing that? Like, why are we? I was like, okay, coach, and you can have obviously a healthy dialogue sometimes, once you get, not as necessarily freshman. Like freshman, he's like, I ain't listening to you. But sophomore year, freshman year, he's like, all right, so to get out of here. But sophomore year, like, hey, coach, can you just explain it? Not trying to undermine you, but can you just explain it? And that was really helpful to me. But just being coachable and using all the resources.
So it seems that you found your flow and groove on the professional side, leading into being professional, right? Especially that season. Which one did you find more of a challenge? Graduating summa cum laude or actually turning pro?
Turning pro by 1,000. Oh my gosh. Graduating graduating with that was difficult. I also had to do a 20-page research paper.
Yay!
In order to get it. I had to do this paper and then it had to be graded. And then that's how I got into the approval process to even do it. So that was very hard. But turning pro was just not at all exactly honestly what I envisioned. I kind of envisioned okay, I've made every team since I was 19 years old. I'm just going to make this team. I'm going to still train hard. I'm going to work hard. But there's so many more. And I think I'm also someone who really, goes ahead okay, look, we're going to manage I need to have a massage therapist. I'm planning all that stuff ahead. And even I felt like I did everything that I could do. And it still didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. I worked harder. I was stronger physically. I was faster. I was better in practice. But the times on the track weren't showing. And that's usually something that I don't struggle with. That's usually what the easy part is, competing. I love to compete. Yeah. And so that was really hard, transitioning and kind of the navigating, okay, now and then the confidence comes in where it's I'm not getting that constant feedback of races now. In college, I ran 50 races, literally 4x1, 4x4, 1, 2, 4. And then now it's oh, I don't have constant feedback of races. What's going on? Or
where am I in training?
Yeah. Dang, I just ran really fast in practice, but then the meet, I didn't run well. Now I have to sit with that for a month before I can race again. And so it's all these different aspects that I just did not envision. And so it was hard.
How did you mentally get through that though? Did you have someone that you can lean on? Because when you turn pro, it's you have a circle, but you still feel kind of alone because you're going through that process and everyone's kind of leading, you're leading everybody to that successful point.
Yeah, 1,000%. I, especially still being in the college town, is a little difficult because Gainesville's small. It's, there are great people who I had helping me therapy wise in terms of acupuncture, all the massage and all that stuff. But it's a lot different than coming to a bigger area and having more, resources accessible easily. And so, but yeah, even I leaned on my mom, I leaned on my father, I leaned on all my people, my friends held me down. Even after trials, I get emotional talking about it because I had just the best people in the world. All my friends, just riding for me and just supporting me and loving me. And, knowing that obviously, sports is what I do, but it's not who I am. I'm so much more than that. But also I want to be really good at it. So when it's not going well, it's dang, what's going on? So yeah, I leaned on the people. And then obviously even just OGs, between my aunts, there's a lot of pros in the Gainesville group who've been through it as well. So kind of talking to them, and then my agents Ramon, John, they were huge help as well, just because, they themselves were elite athletes and they also represent me and believe in me. So yeah, I leaned on anyone who would tell me something positive. I was hey, can you just tell me something good about myself? I just ran at 51 seconds. Is there something good you can tell me about myself?
That's why Justin and I, we tell everybody who transition, we try to help a lot of the athletes. I have some athletes who just turned pro hit me up in my DMs and they be yo, what kind of advice would you give me about turning pro? And I always tell them with those, because you didn't have the gratification of the races, you have to train extra hard in the fall to run fast in the spring. And that's not understated. A lot of people, they'll be oh yeah, I ain't doing all that long stuff, or I'm not doing that rep or whatever, but they love to compete. So when it comes to the track and they do a lot of the shorter stuff, they're oh yeah, I'm gonna run this really hard. But if your body don't have the strength from the fall to do what your coach is asking from it in the spring,
you're gonna be out of luck.
Come a lot of problems. You're gonna have a lot of problems.
Exactly. And I think that's because a lot of coaches don't even simplify it. In college, you're going to be ran into shape.
Yeah.
So that's why you find a lot of college kids, they don't take practice in college as serious because they know that they're going to have a race every week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then when you turn pro, your pro coach really doesn't tell you, say, hey, take practice serious because you ain't going to have a lot of opportunities to present yourself. Because if you show up bad, there's usually those meet pros are going to be like, I don't know if I want to see you at my race.
Yeah. You'd be like, I thought we was going to Germany. We're going back to the U.S., baby.
So I have a question, because obviously, your aunts and your mother have created such a illustrious career in track and field, but there's also a name that's attached to them that is a famous figure in culture, Joe Clark.
Yes.
What do you know about Joe, like from your perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what have you heard about him when it comes to like his legacy, what he brought? Because obviously Samuel Jackson has played him. You know what I mean? And a beautiful movie, great movie. Was it? No, Samuel wasn't Samuel. It was
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
Morgan Freeman, exactly. So
on the biography, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was your take on that?
Yeah, like my grandfather, like Papa, he's just electric. Like he is just a one of a kind guy. Like the way he's played in the movie is pretty spot on to what I experienced. And like from hearing from the kids that, like even like people be like, oh, I went to, school at your grandfather's school. And, like he was crazy and he locked me out and he did this. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he basically does the same thing to me too. Like it's the same. So yeah, he definitely had a legacy and a culture, and he was like a big figure, obviously in the Black community as well. Just like showing like, he didn't come from much, and he was so successful and in education. And I think that that's like even like just really important. I think that's why I, value education so highly too. Cause, Papa was not, he's like, send me your grades immediately. Like send me a report card. Like that's the first thing he would ask. Like he would always be like, let me see your report card and let me see your nails. Like, how do you carry yourself? Like, how do you, show up? Like, how do you present yourself? Like he had those just important aspects that I still carry on today.
Oh, he said report card and nails?
Yeah, report card. Like, let me see your nails.
That's real old school. What my grandma used to say, he said, you want to see if a girl clean? Look at her toes and look at her hands. So my grandma used to say that to me all the time. Yeah.
So that probably means that if it was reversed, he probably gonna say, let me, as if it's a guy, right? Yeah. Don't come in with no guy with no dusty shoes or broke down shoes.
And a haircut. Oh, he would.
And a haircut.
Oh my gosh, my little cousin, he'd be like, see that head? Like, so yeah, like he was important to the culture, important to me. And, he wanted my mother. That's how my mother and my uncle started running. Cause he was like, yo, like there's not, a lot of Black American women running middle distance, but like we can do this. Like I've got a daughter who I know is athletic. Like you're running middle distance. Like there's no sprinting. You're not doing that. You're running middle distance. So when I said I wasn't running middle distance, he was like, God, like gosh, she's just one of everybody else. Like, and but now like even since my mom has done it, like now seeing a thing Mo, like Ajay Wilson, like America's and Raven Rogers and so many more who've just like really restored the like American 800-meter woman as a Black woman, strong Black woman competing at a high level. And it's cool to see like kind of the legacy that like my grandfather started to my parents and like how it's been going down. So yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing, bro.
Thank you.
I used to watch that movie all the time, man. Me and my homeboy back at home, we used to say, Mr. Clark, they beating up Kid Ray. You smoke crack, don't you? Well, then jump. Listen, growing up, I used to watch that movie all the time. All the time.
That's funny.
It's a beautiful movie. What was since you was talking about how hard the transition was from collegiate to pro, what was your welcome to the professional ranks moment when you realized like, oh, this shit hard. This is hard. What was that moment when you like realized like, oh, this is hard?
Yeah. Okay, so my actual first pro race, Milrose Games, I won. So I was like, all right, man, like we doing all right.
Okay.
Woo. And then the next week I go to USA's and I do not win. And not only do I not win, I like Alexis won by probably like I ran 51 something, she ran 50 point something.
Okay.
So I was like, dang, like indoors I'm usually like pretty fast. But like, okay, like it's all right. Like let me go to Worlds. Like, well, we'll shake back. So we get to World Indoors and it's like Femke Bol and Klaver. And, I have, a lot of respect for all those girls. They compete at a high level always, and they always bring it. And so I'm like, okay, like I'm a competitor. Like we're good. So semifinals, I was close to Klaver. I was like, all right, cool. This is going to be good. The finals is when Femke Bol ran 49 low or whatever.
Yeah.
49 low. Yeah. And so I was like, dang. Like, and I got 5th. And I was in the back and I was crossing the line. I was like, oh, well, all right. Like, we'll go into outdoors and we'll be good. But that was my wake up moment. Like, whoa, like this is not, this is not college at all. Like if there's one, and even in that race, like even when I look back at it, it wasn't like, there was like a moment where like I fell asleep in the race and that's all it took. Like in college, it's kind of like, if you fall asleep, if you have a little bit of like you're not executing as properly, it's like you can still shake back. Like, I'm still probably going to be in the front. Like I can still like maneuver. But like that was the little moment that it took for me indoors to be pushed to the back. And so that's when I was like, okay, like, but I feel like I'd already kind of been away. Like I was already like, okay, like these girls aren't playing. Like especially seeing my family and seeing the people compete and just seeing like the legends of the sport compete. I'm like, see, these people aren't playing. But that was the first time I was like, okay, wow. Like, yeah.
I got to get on my P's and Q's. And that's good. Like, a lot of times when you're in college and you ride that wave of winning so much, you kind of ride the wave of that fitness all the way through the year. So you could kind of continue and not really realize how hard it is until you start fresh the next year. And then, which was what, 2024 for you?
Which
that was Glasgow, like the indoor race you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. This year.
So this year, 2024. So like it takes maybe 1 year or two to really be like, oh, this is a lot different.
Yeah.
Like a very, very a lot different. So we wanna help, Justin and I help that close that gap of, because a lot of people who transition, it take them maybe 2 or 3 years for them to reemerge back to prominence. So we want to help like the athletes, like when they have questions, to tell them, hey, look, this is what you're going through, or this is what you probably need to understand. So that's good. But moving on to outdoor, how difficult was it to move from Florida to a new coach? Like, what was that like for you? Because I know you have a great relationship with your coach, and it's not about anything that happened, but it's more so about you moving on. How difficult was that for you?
Yes, it was really tough. So outdoor season, I ran I ran 100 meters and I ran pretty well. Like I ran 11:01. So I was like, okay, like that's cool, but like I'm obviously want to compete at a high level in the 400, so I want to make sure that's translating. And then I got a little banged up at that point, and so that's kind of the tough part that really like hit a damper. And I went to China and I competed pretty well in China, but I just never really like got my rhythm back. I never, it happened at kind of a tough time, and just timing of everything kind of didn't really shape up well. And so going into trials, I was like, okay, like, we're going in, like, we're going to compete at a high level, like, we're going to do everything we can. And it was not enough. Like, it was like 200ths that I missed the final. So it's tough, but like, the way that the year was shaking out, like, I knew going into next year, which is now this year, I was like, that's not happening again. Like, we're gonna make some changes. And so just the necessary changes. But yeah, like, leaving, I have left Coach Holloway. Like, I don't even know if that's like fully like out, but I did leave Coach Holloway, and I'm now training with Gary Evans in Orlando, Florida.
Empire Athletics. And so yeah, graduated from UF and have left the University of Florida. And yeah, it's just like I knew that I needed just, some more specialized. Like, Coach Holloway's an amazing coach. Like, always hold him very high, and I, hold him as one of the best coaches in the world. And I he's someone I'm very close to this day. But like, he's a college coach and he has a lot of college athletes. So, it's not that he's not intentionally ignoring or not paying attention, but it's difficult when you have 80 athletes out, like literally, like there's 70 athletes he has to, account for, and he's the college coach. And then he has a pretty big pro group. Like, it's like 15 of us on top of that. So I think that, that was just one of the conversations I had with him, and it went really well, and he understood and supported and helped in every way, because he knows that, that's my guy. And I, even to this day, I will talk to like recruits and stuff, be like, yo, like go to Holloway, like, yeah. Awesome. So yeah, transitioning, I was like, okay, look, I'm going to go to Gary Evans. And, it was, he's a 400 meter guru. So I was like, I don't think it's that hard of a choice, but I just wanted to make sure personality wise, I didn't know him, and there's not a lot of people in this sport that like my family doesn't know, but they're like, oh, we don't really know Gary. So I was like, oh, dang, like,
wow, like, okay, like I need to, vet this guy like myself, like see about him and see who he is and see the kind of person he is. And immediately talking to him, I talked to, Matthew Hudson Smith and some other people who were in his group. And, I had a relationship with some of them, and just hearing how highly they talk of him and seeing even the interview. Literally, I actually watched the interview of Gary when I was like in the coaching process of like deciding. I literally watched the interview. That was one of the ways I could tell about his character, was on this podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Gary is the athlete's coach. I can tell you that. He is everything for the athletes, pay the athletes. He gonna speak because he's not tied to anything. Gary gonna speak on it.
Yeah.
So he is the athlete's coach. He ain't coaching for no. I mean, if a shoe company comes and they want to pay him, yes, he'll take it. But he's the athlete's coach. He wants the athletes to get everything they need. So he shout out to Gary.
And I saw that too. So I was like, okay, like when I saw that, and I was like, okay, like this guy, it seems like a good person. I talked to him and we talked, and I had told him what my vision was and my goals, and like some of the different things I wanted to do. And he was like, okay, like let's do it. Like it was never like, oh well, or he was just like, let's go. And that's what I need. And I'm also really quick to buy in. So I was like, coach, you tell me to run through a brick wall, I'll run. But like if there's a medal at the end of that brick wall, like I'll do it. Like
I gotta know a medal's on the other side though.
Yeah. So that was really cool transitioning. And then even like, kind of building my team, like Thomas Ott's like the strength coaches that I'm working with now. And so he is German, but like I'm learning about like just so many different things about my body and getting stronger, but like functionally strong, like not like lifting heavy, but like in a place of when I can apply. And there's so many different things for me to learn and that I've been getting better at. And so I'm excited about that. And then also like just, the different massage people I'm working with, like just kind of building a team here in Orlando, and Gary being at the head of that has just been a great transition in this fall.
Good.
So we heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. We were talking to each other. Is Noah your god brother?
Yes.
Really? How did that come about?
How did that come about? Because you from Jersey, right? Like
my mother. So his mother ran. My uncle JJ was his mother's coach, and so my mother and his mother trained together at Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get a mother's show, man. Mama Laws, you're welcome. Any of the Clark sisters, all y'all welcome.
Yeah, I know. My mom is so.
One in Bermuda.
Yeah,
that's gonna be tough for her.
You know what? That should y'all have to do a Clark sister show. My mom is so sad. She really wanted to join us today.
Yeah, I know. When
send
she
her
told us
love.
she couldn't come,
I know.
We were a little disappointed.
Yeah,
we had to scrap half our questions.
No, dang. But yeah, y'all make up for the Clark Sister 3 show. That would be fire. Like all three
of course.
Oh,
I mean, that's a part of American history. Like you said, like them being middle distance runners and being at a high level and being Black women was a staple in middle distance for the sport. So yes, I mean, Clark sisters, you're definitely welcome. My mama Laws, you're welcome too. Yeah, we want to hear about them UF fans.
Hazel's in Bermuda, right?
Yeah, she's in Bermuda.
She's living in Bermuda.
Literally lives in Bermuda.
She handles like tourism.
Yes, so
she
it's
like tourism or something.
Like development and tourism or something. So she is like a side. Sorry, I don't know.
Not
Dang,
an
I should have ran
anymore.
off to paradise.
She's not an American anymore.
Yeah, she left us.
Yeah, she traded her
But
passport.
she did come for my graduation. So, she
Oh, she did.
Saw the pictures.
Yes.
She was in the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, so she pulled up for that.
Actually, she I think she gives out the awards at the Bermuda meet.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, she gives
Yeah,
out
that's
the
her meet. Like she
That's
puts
her
that
meet.
on.
She puts it together.
Oh, okay.
That's her meet.
Shout
So
out to
you know
her.
what? We're gonna come to the meet. We're gonna come out to the meet. You know what?
Send for us.
I don't know. I looked on the map. Bermuda's in the middle of nowhere.
Literally. Like if you escape, you're dead.
You already know how I am with turbulence.
Really? No.
Yeah,
What?
listen, as much as he travels,
I was about to say it's like the worldwide. He's been to like every continent,
Listen,
probably.
I'm ready to
This is
jump in a
scared.
cage and dive with great whites. I'll go to Johannesburg and walk in a cage with lions. But for whatever reason, turbulence,
It takes you
I
out.
get cold sweats, I get clammy.
No.
It's like some
You
Final
about to grab my
Destination stuff.
No.
I got a lot of embarrassing stories.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you
We gonna
scream?
die
Have you
like
ever
this.
screamed?
Have I screamed?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worse because you have headphones on. So you know, like,
Oh my god.
so I'll be on the
it's
plane
bad.
and it'll shake. I'll be, and I look back at me. You know what I mean?
It's bad. when I was taking him to the Bahamas, to my island, he's like, we ain't going on one of them small planes, right? Because if it's a small plane ride, I'm not going.
I told, yeah. He be like, man, I'm gonna take you on the island. Like, y'all don't got a ferry, a boat, or something like that. You can put me in a boat, man. I'll do that. At least I know if the boat gonna sink, I can swim.
Yeah, you can do something.
Somewhere,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh my
It
gosh.
was good, yeah, but it's bad. I thought it was a joke until I started traveling with him, and I was like, oh, he's serious about this.
So as professional athletes, you know, we have goals. So we have goals on what we want to do on the track, right? And then we have our vacation goals. So what's some of your goals on the track that you want to accomplish 2025?
Mhm.
But what's some of your vacation goals that you want to achieve too? Because, you know, as athletes, you know, we visit a lot of places in the world, but we don't get an opportunity like to stay long enough to really reap the benefits of being those places.
Yeah. It's actually funny you asked that question too, because that's one of the things that like, because, you know, between my aunts and my mom, they've like taught me and talked a lot about the pro-life. But one of the things my aunt was like, you need to go and do things. Like when you go to those cities, go out, because like your mother was too locked in and she would sit in the hotel room and like she was not seeing the stuff. So you need to go. If you go to Paris, go see the Eiffel Tower. Like if you go here, go do that. So I like definitely value that, but I also like really want to like, you know, continue to travel and stuff like aside from that. And so, yeah, so on the track, I want to, you know, get back to, you know, competing at a high level again and like running, obviously, the times that I can run, like, you know, working with Gary. The training is totally different than everything I'm used to. Like, it's interesting because I'm like super uncomfortable, but like it's a healthy uncomfortable where I'm like, okay, like I'm getting better. And even if it's like I'm not seeing it necessarily every day, like in terms of like, okay, my times may be improving, like it's not like linear, but it's like, okay, like I'm improving. And so I definitely want to continue to improve, and I want to like get stronger at every level too. And then I want to make the team, and I'm going to make the team, and I'm going to get medals too. So that's what my goal for 2025 is.
Okay.
And then vacation goals, I want to go to Singapore.
Goals? You want to go where?
Singapore.
Singapore.
Okay.
I want to go to Singapore too. Though.
You do?
I ain't
You want to go to Singapore?
That's always been on my list, man.
You want to go in that little ship tower hotel?
Yeah, it doesn't even got to be the ship tower. I just want to go.
Crazy Rich Asian style?
Yeah,
I want to do Crazy Rich Asian style. Crazy Rich Asian style. Because I was there for like a day, but it wasn't. I was like, I need to like it was cool. So I want to go back and like visit inside.
So I'm gonna tell you like this though. When it comes to bucket lists and things you want to do off the track, make sure that it's either after your race or a lot of time before your race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like on a lot, like maybe like if you get into town early, maybe like 3 days before the race. 3 days before, like make sure you have that type of time. But then, like a day before the race or 2 days, that's too close.
Because me and him went to.
Oh my God.
Oh no, it's a horror story. It sounds like it's about to be a horror story.
It's a horror story because it was the year he was coaching me, right? So we went to Switzerland, Bellinzona, and we had the opportunity to go into the Swiss Alps. So we kind of like did this trek into the Swiss Alps. Beautiful, amazing, right? One of a kind, breathtaking. Yeah. Am I right though, right? It's one thing you remember the rest of your life.
Yes, but it was an all-day event. I didn't know it was going to be all day.
Oh.
We didn't know. We didn't know it was going to be all day. And so I think we raced the next day?
The next day.
No.
The next night we raced.
We're dead.
Look,
it was over.
Legs were dead. First thing I do across the line, I come back over to him and says,
he put that on my shoulder.
My bad, dog. We're going to get him next time. I reversed it on
My bad, dog. You just accepted defeat. I mean,
his idea. He was like, yeah, maybe we could go, man. You ever seen the Swiss Alps? I was like, maybe after. He's like, our flights are early. I was like, man, listen, we came here to have business. This dude was like, nah, man, let's go ahead. I'll be all right. Ain't nobody here. You know who was there?
Under the
Mike
grass.
Rogers.
Under the grass was there.
Hey,
Mike Rogers was there. I think Fred was there too.
Mike won the race.
Yeah.
I was like, you let Mike, come on, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mike ran around the track like it was the Olympic final too.
He did, man. So I tell you.
Okay, so I'm playing it way ahead.
3 days
Way ahead.
Okay.
3 days of advance.
But the Swiss Alps, I'm not kidding.
So it was worth it. If you could go back, it would be the same.
It wasn't worth it because that was my job. No, my job was to make sure he performed, and I didn't do that. So no, I take that very seriously. But if I could go back after, we would do it after.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to give that moment up, man. Like we saw the waterfall. The waterfall was amazing.
Waterfall was amazing.
Yeah, what people, it was amazing. It was an amazing sight.
The photos that you take didn't know justice.
None.
Really?
No.
Actually, when you look at the photos, it looks like it's edited. Coloring and everything.
Yeah. It looks so, oh my gosh.
Man, it looks crazy.
Okay, I have to definitely add that.
And that meet still goes on, man. That's an old meet. Like everybody goes to that meet. I think Fred went there this year, Bellinzona. That's like yeah. Okay.
I want to see you in some 200s this year too.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
I want to see
I do too. We gonna get that curve together.
Okay.
We gonna get
Yeah. Take it. Y'all talk
Gary
y'all
gonna
talk
get that curve
yeah.
together. You can definitely see how comfortable you are, and once you hit the straightaway, you fly.
Mhm.
But I mean, Gary is good at what he does, man. So you
Thank
are
you.
definitely in great hands.
Thank you,
Speaking
thank you.
of you competing at a high level, man, you definitely in this type of time, you definitely got to really be dialed in, because I know you saw the Olympics. I mean, third place was 48.
Mhm.
Fourth place was 49-1.
Mhm.
So how are you preparing for that mentally? Because that was one of the fastest years of all time in the 400 last year at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So what's your preparation mentally for that? Because we know physically you already have your coach, your strength coach and everything, but mentally, how are you approaching that? Because that's something that's never happened. It's not like a 48 and then 49 and then a 50. It's a 48, 48, 48, 49-1. And then one of the girls who dominated last year from Jamaica, she wasn't even in that race, and she rang off a lot of 48. So how are you mentally preparing to be there in that type of mix?
She told you she's gonna run through brick walls.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Like, honestly, like, I think that I do have that belief that like that is the kind of athlete that I am. Like, I know that that's like what's within me, and like as long as I have like, everything kind of set up, like it's gonna like, I think it's gonna align. But honestly, it is like, I went to the Olympics. Like, I went to watch. Like, I was like, like it's still like, I still love the sport and I respect the sport and I respect my competitors. Obviously I want to be out there and I want to compete, but like, the hardest place for me to go is, in theory, the Olympics. Like, that should be the hardest place mentally, like, for me to go. But like, that's why I want to go. Like, that's why I want to like put myself in that position and be like, okay, like this is a feeling that you don't want to experience again. And so, yeah, like mentally preparing, like, okay, like whatever it has to take, like whatever I need to do, like whatever it is, like I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do it. And I think that's something like every day, even in practice, like I haven't been like overthinking it or like something like, okay, every single rep I'm thinking about this. But like that is something like, Talitha, like this is your job. You're here to work and like you can do this. Like there's no, that same confidence that I had in 2022 of like, there's nothing in your mind. Like before 2022, I hadn't done any of those things. I hadn't really done anything to even say that I could do those things, but like I still did it. And so it's kind of the same concept now where it's like, okay, like, there's not, I'm not in a position exactly right now to be like, oh, she can do that. She has had some good times, but it's not like I'm necessarily like one of the best like in the world on paper right now, but like still in my mind because of, my confidence and, my coaches, my confidence in who I am, who God's created me to be. Like, I believe that like those are something that I could do. So yeah, good question though.
That's very tough for you to go to the Olympics, but that's not a bad thing to do, because I remember Maurice Green talking about being in the stands in 96 and 97, he was the world champion. I remember you talking about in 03. You made the team, but you were sitting in the stands.
03, I was in world championships in Paris. I'm sitting in the stands eating a baguette.
No,
a baguette in the
not
bag,
baguette.
watching the relay going. Yeah.
The next year, he's
He's
an
Olympic
Olympic champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you being in the stands, I hope and pray that can be you, the world champion on that stage. So that's not a bad thing to do. It's very tough mentally to do, because a lot of people, they feel a lot of pain from not making the team, and they wouldn't even turn the TV on. You know what I mean?
I think you got to take it in sections, right? Like a mountain climber. A mountain climber is never going to be at the base of a mountain and say, I'm looking at the top. They're talking about, all right, I got to get to this part of the summit, and then I got to move here, and then I got to move there. And then next thing you know, you're at the peak. You know what I mean? So take your season, and you already know you're professional now. So don't take any race for granted. Go out there, exercise your race pattern. A lot of athletes don't realize that. It's like they train, and then they realize like you have to execute your race pattern. You got to practice your race pattern. So when you get into those meets that you were saying earlier about all those 48s, your race pattern is going to show up and it's going to sustain you to be successful that way. You know what I mean? So you got it. We know you got that. So
thank you.
And
I like that a lot. That's good.
You're doing what you need to do. As a pro, I always tell all the pros when they ask me for advice, get a team for the team. You have your strength coach. If you need a mental coach, they have a lot of therapists out there who actually help with that. You're going to have a massage therapist. So it's going to be a team of people that's going to help. That's not going to be seen that get you where you need to go. And they're usually like a group of maybe 5 people. And whether it be like I said, massage therapist, mental health therapist, strength coach, your coach on the track, and your family support and your mother, family, and friends.
Thank
so
you.
that could all be in one. So you got to get a team for the team.
Thank you.
Got to get a team for the team, and they're going to hold you together to make you get to that top. He had a team for the team. I was on his team. So
Yeah.
later in his career.
So what was like the biggest difference from like 03 to 04 for you of just like mentally, like what was like some of the, like I want to know like about that like a little bit.
Man, she reversed the interview.
Dang, no, no, but he said something I wanted to hear. I like that.
I feel honored.
Hey, go ahead,
Like that
girl.
was cool. I like that.
No, I just think, I think for me was I realized because in 2003, what stopped me from being a part of the team is I got injured. But then I didn't realize that it was so important for me to understand recovery and keeping myself healthy throughout the season, right? I wasn't stretching like I was supposed to. I wasn't taking care of my body like I was supposed to. And I pulled my hamstring at the Nationals. And it was a wrap for me, right? Until the end of the season. So in 2004, I came with that same veracity that I had competition-wise, but I made sure I was patient with my recovery to get back on the track. You know what I mean? Because I was ready. Like 2003 was my first year as a pro. I was like, I was just like you. Like I went through NCAAs, it's like Slade. And then my first year out, I was like, easy, I'm gonna kill it. Injury sidelined me, and then I realized like I have to take it more seriously from top to bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you have to. And then sometimes you have to get excited for meets that aren't exciting meets. Like when we competed, we was excited about Tom Jones and Florida relays because we know it's time for us to show ourselves. Practicing competing. So then when you get into those diamond leagues and you get into those finals, like you don't have to worry about if you're going to rise to the occasion as a competitor because you practice that too, you know? Yeah.
Cool. Let's go. I like that.
You should ask another question. I like this.
Here we go.
I like
Here
this.
we go.
You giving me
That's all I got. That's all I got today. I don't know.
So I do have a question for you. And we usually do this at the end. I want to know if you could put together your 4x1, your 4x4, right?
Okay.
Your 4x4. And I'm allow you to be able to take anybody in history.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Basically your dream 4x4.
A dream 4x4.
Okay. Well, I want to
be on it.
Am I allowed to be on it? Yeah.
Yeah, you could be on it.
You on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I'm on it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm on it.
And the order.
Oh, okay. So I'd lead off.
Okay.
I like lead off. I can do lead off. Can it be any country?
Sure. All-star.
Okay. Like Mary Jose Perec.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
48 low from
That's second
France. Yeah.
Okay.
I would put her at second leg. Third leg, I would probably say, man, it's tough. I would say like Allison. Or wait, let's put Allison second leg, and then we'll put Mary Jo third leg, and then anchor leg. Man, all right, let me put my mom on it. I'll put my mom on it.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get her on there.
There you go.
We'll get her on there. We'll anchor her. She might give us a 52. We can put her
Boy,
on.
she gonna come get you for that. She gonna be like, girl, you talking about 52. I'll go out there and give you 50 points. Put your spikes on right now. I'll run you.
You know her already. You know her. That's exactly how she's, yeah.
You out there embarrassing me talking about 52.
Yeah,
Girl, you crazy.
literally, like
Girl, you
today I'm at the track and I'm doing like just like different exercises and stuff, and she comes, she's like, you know, like I can do all that, right? Like I can do that. I'm like, okay, like all right, like okay.
So she still got the competitive spirit.
Oh my god,
she's still in shape too.
Yeah, she takes it seriously.
Yeah.
Like she's doing splits. Like it's just crazy. Like she's an unreal athlete. It's still wild. Like she literally can do a split. Like today, just plot. I'm like what the?
I was watching. I think she just went to like a women's summit, right? And her back was to the camera, and I was like, "Who is this in shape lady who's probably still competing, talking to these old retired people?" And I turned around as your mom. I was like, "Wow, she still can run today if she wanted to."
Wow.
She ran like 26 a couple years ago in the 200.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and she's like 62, something like 62. So yeah, she's definitely still got it. So we'll put her anchor leg.
You from an amazing gene pool.
Thank you.
How is she when she goes and watches you compete? What is her energy like? Because my mom is so nervous when she watches me compete.
that's my mom too, like for sure. Like I don't like to like even like hug her. Like I'll be like, stay away. Like you're all your nervous energy. Like, so she is very nervous and she likes to ask a lot of questions and stuff. Like not to me necessarily, but like, hey, how's she looking? Like, did anyone see her back there? Like, is she looking good? Like, okay. So like, and like I've heard that from people around. And so they'll be like, yeah, your mom was asking me questions. Like I knew and I didn't know. But so yeah, she definitely gets nervous. And I know that even like, and she's talked about it where like she knows what it's like, obviously, to compete at a very high level. And she also understands what it's like when, you know, like the pro life is like lonely. Like it's really hard. Like, and obviously you guys both obviously know, but like it's really hard. Like last year was really hard, like coming from a legendary team, like I had mentioned before, and then boom, no teammates. And it's like kind of a weird dynamic of like, okay, these are things that I was competing for and really like turned me up. Like, whoa, like Anna just ran the 400 hurdles and the heptathlete at NCAA's. I'm going to run every event. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, like I don't have that same like, you know, coming from a team perspective. And so she understands that. And so she was like, dang, like she wants to be a part of my team. Obviously she is a part of my team. And so I think she had that like added like anxiety for sure of like, dang, I really want her to do well. And I want to be a valuable part of her team and help her. But like at the end of the day, she's got to go out there and run herself. Like I can't run for her. So yeah.
How you said your dad is the opposite. So
complete opposite.
what is he like when he's at meets for you?
Oh, complete. Like you're not going to find him. He's literally going to, at Florida Relays, he sits at the top next to like the little booth. Like he is up there and he's just sitting back there and he's just like looking around.
Own world.
And he's in his own world. And then, you know, like one time it was at NCAA's and they're running the 4x4s and he's sitting at the track and he's watching. And I come up behind him and I'm like, hey, Dad. He's like, oh, I thought you were on the track. I'm like, Dad, like, dang. So he's super chill, like super calm. He's just like enjoying and he's just, you know, he loves being my dad and he loves that I run track, but he also doesn't like indoors. He came to Milrose games. He watched my race and immediately left. Like he was like, okay, cool. I'm good. Like my job's done. So yeah.
That's good, man. Good. That's a good dad, man. Shout out to Dad.
Shout out Ron. Ron Diggs. Love you, Ron.
That's good, man. You already talked about your plans. You already talked about what you want your future to be like. A lot of athletes, and I don't know if you have even thought about this yet. Have you ever thought about, I mean, because you're in the now and the present, how are you going to transition out of the sport? That's always tough for a lot of us.
I want to piggyback off of that too. I want to make it a 2-part question. Right?
Oh my God, that's already a hard one. Dang, okay,
it is hard. It's
so
hard.
remember what he said, right? I want to know because your mother has stayed in the sport. She had a 25-year career, right? Which is a long career. I had like 20, right? So I know. And as athletes, we don't even think about the end. We think about, oh, we're just going to keep going year by year by year and see what it comes out to. Where do you see yourself? How long do you see? And then what is your transition going to look like?
Okay. So I don't even know exactly how many years. Like I guess till the wheels fall off. I don't know. Like 10, 15, 20, 35.
Don't say till the wheels fall off.
To that wall.
To the wall. Like,
all the way down.
Or to the, like I saw the thing where you said about, I don't remember who, I think it was like an athlete, but you were like, oh, this is time for me to like hang it up. Like until I have one of those moments. So hopefully that's in like far down the line.
Yeah. When you say the boy came in, the 2 stretches and ran 9.7, you say, oh, that's it for me.
Yep. I'm done.
So until that, or, you know, I also I want to have a family one day. And so like, I think that, you know, planning that.
But that could exist in, I mean, look at Shelly.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I was going to say.
Had a kid and came back and still dominated. So that can
exist.
Yeah,
no, that's what I was going to say though. I want to do I want to plan it to where like I have like maybe 1, maybe 2 while I'm competing this sport. But like, you know, at the end of it, like I want to be like, okay, like I want to be able to like spend time with just my family and like be able to live that life. I never got to see my mom run. So I definitely want my kids to be able to in person. So I definitely want my kids to be able to see me run in person. And so that's like really important for me. So plan that out somewhere down the line. And yeah, like outside of transitioning outside the sport, like I do want to be in sports administration. So like, you know, I do want to use my degrees one day.
Of course.
And, you know, I want to like, you know, be like, whether it's like a commissioner or like director of like FIFA or IOC or just be like involved in that way. Like that's definitely something like, or like athletic director. So I want to be in sports somehow. And I think like obviously meeting so many great people, like it'll definitely smooth the transition of people who have transitioned successfully. And then my mom, like, she is just a rock star. Like, she has her events, she speaks, she has a foundation, she does everything, and my aunt's doing awesome. And so, yeah, like, using them to help me transition out for sure.
Okay.
That's gonna be great.
That's definitely we always encourage like now athletes to like, you know, like don't wait until you feel like the wheel's about to fall off, but kind of have a transition to where you can transition well, because where you run for so long, it becomes your identity. And you already said like you do track, that's not who you are, but when you do it for such a long time, you feel like that's who you are, and you don't know who you are without it. And that's what makes the transition for a lot of track athletes who've done it for a while so hard. So we always encourage the athletes who are on the rise, like yourself, like the young stars, like people don't know how young you are, but who are on the rise to, you know, think about a transition plan somewhere in there of what I would like to do or what I would transition into once leaving the sport. Okay. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. Okay. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be my last question. What was your favorite meet to run last year? Where was it? And what was your favorite meet to attend last year? And where was it?
Okay, good question. So attend was the Olympics. Like, I thought it was awesome. I was like, wow, all these people in here. This is cool. This is electric. Like, just the energy. I was there for the men's 400 meter final. So it was lit in there. Like, watching Matt, watching Quincy.
You
I
was
like,
there for the 100 final.
Like, electric. It was like, whoa, like, this is so cool. All these people, you know, appreciating the sport and like it. So that was definitely my favorite. And then I'd say like the meet that it was probably my personal favorite was, I really liked competing in China. Like, I thought that was a really well run meet. Like, you know, the hotel's nice, everything is like well organized, and you know, it's a Diamond League, and then also competing against Paulino, who would end up becoming the Olympic champion. Like, you know, and I got second in that race, and a lot of the people that I beat were like in the Olympic final and competed at a high level that year. And so I felt like, you know, that was a really good race, and I was so excited to compete too that day. Like, I was like, I can't wait to, like, the whole day I was like, I can't wait to compete. Like, I just want to race. And so that was cool. That was definitely a highlight for sure.
That was Shanghai, right? What was it?
Yeah, Shanghai.
So you stayed in a hotel that was connected to the track?
It was, so they have a new thing now. So it's called Shanghai, but it's not really that one anymore.
Okay.
So we had to drive a little bit, but it was still crazy. Like, it's so many people, like 60, 70,000.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I like China. I like China a lot. It's a totally different experience. It's like being on a whole nother planet sometimes. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, the whole first part of the season is in China. World Relays is in China, Indoor Worlds is in China, and then they still have the 2 Diamond Leagues, which is in China. So that whole January, February, March, April, May month, you could actually be in China for 4 meets.
Wow.
It's like a month stint from Indoor Worlds to World Relays to the 2 Diamond.
You better rack up on your miles. You better get them.
My Delta points. Let me get my Delta points.
Oh no, she gonna just stay there, because if it's a month, man, you just might have to spend it, because flying to China that's not like a turnaround trip. That's not like flying to like
It's
Vegas.
like a 23-hour trip.
You know it.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the worst travel. So if you're gonna be there for 4, you might as well just stay a while and train and just fly from meet to meet. You have anything else?
Yeah, I want to know, who's your idol? Ooh. Did you have an idol growing up?
That's one I looked up to, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside of your family.
Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna say them anyway. Don't worry.
Oh, don't do that to them. Listen, boy, they gonna get you.
You mama, you aunties.
Like, ain't none of them.
I'm gonna get beat up after this.
They ain't never my hero.
Man, I would say, you know, Allison Felix for sure. Someone that I really looked up to. And then, like, you know, man, that's a really good one. I would say like Allison was definitely the one I was like, wow, like, she does everything. Like, dang, like that's cool. So definitely her. And then I also like, you know, my family, you know, obviously they've been in it for a long time. So I watched a lot of like the old races. So like Mary Jo Perec, like she's really someone that I watch and like really study, like just being a student of the sport and like just appreciating, you know, just like the OGs, the people of who did it. So definitely her. Oh, Kathy Freeman too. Like I love
Australia, Kathy
watching her.
Sydney, yeah.
Yeah, like when she won it at home, like that was just so cool, and just seeing the crowd erupt. And so I was like, wow, like that's awesome. Like I want to do that one day. Like that's definitely somebody that I looked up to.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
that's cool. I like that you are a student of the sport, especially in your era. You don't find that very often anymore. A lot of people just love to be able to focus on themselves and try to create their own path, but you got to know where you're going. You got to know where the sport has come from, so you know where you're going. So I find that very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm good, man.
Talitha, this is your camera right here.
Okay.
If you have any shout outs to any fans, family, any charities, or any PSAs to kids, your fans, that's your camera.
Okay.
That's your camera.
Okay. Hi, Mom, Dad, and my family. I love you guys. But I would say my PSA to any like kids watching, anyone who's interested in going to college or just like doing it, like, you know, understand who you are, understand why you do it. You know, that makes the whole journey easier, but also put people around you that will help you get there and listen to them. You know, don't put people around you just so that they can be yes men or yes woman. Like, definitely take every piece of advice. You know, like I'm learning from them today. Like I learn from people every single day, and I just want to learn and be a student of the sport, and you should do that too. So that's my little PSA.
Well, there we go. So take us out, Rod.
Man, we thank you so much for being a part of our show of RSG, man. We wish you all the best in the 2025 season. And until next time with our next guest, we're taking you out with Ready, Set, Go!